this is not a great day for Tesla shareholders, at least if you are also concerned about short-term returns. Today, an absolute bloodbath. Maybe not absolute, we have seen much worse, but it definitely breaks our winning streak. We are not happy today, and Tesla performs absolutely awful compared to Nasdaq. Nasdaq is down 1.23%. Tesla's beta would imply being down 2.5%, but we are down 4.3%. This is insane. So we experienced a major drop today for no good reason. We will get into that in a second. For the week, we shouldn't forget, we had a tremendous run up. So for the week, we are still positive. After all of that, we got nearly to 450, got rejected very badly on Monday, fell all the way down below the point we are now, and then ran back up, tried again, bounced back. And I will get into that in a second. But before we go into Tesla stock, let's take a quick look at Nasdaq to put this into comparison. Because we should never panic. We should not just stare and be little autists with our little stock here. Always zoom out, check the market, check the Nasdaq, check the Dow Jones, check the S&P 500. Once you're done with that, you can orient yourself and say, where are we at with Tesla? Then take another step back, view the world, see what's happening in Iran, see what's happening in Ukraine, see what's happening in Europe, and of course, see what's happening in China. Then you have Tesla, you zoomed out to the markets. You have the markets, you zoom out to the world. And then you take the final step back into orbit, watch civilization, and see what happens to AGI, to Starship, to the explosion of CapEx into artificial general intelligence, the profit explosion, the job replacements, and the new age we are entering into with all its bad and good things. Then you have the big picture. So now that we have done that, quick jump to the latest. What's happening here? Here is a quick video just reminding us what just happened with Elon in Beijing, of course, making funny faces, meeting other Chinese tech executives and entrepreneurs, taking selfies, the whole world watching Elon, and of course Trump and Xi Jinping. This is, I think, the vice something president of China or something on the left. Elon whistling, typing on his phone, Tim Apple here, Jensen Huang there, taking selfies with Elon. So all of that happened over the last few days, and that set the stage for the market going up a lot. Nvidia absolutely killing it. Tesla also doing very well. Some people said that this will be a sell the news event, as so many events are. I actually didn't listen to that person, but maybe that person was right. Maybe that was a sell the news event. A sell the news event means you have something people are excited about. In this case, the grand state visit of Trump in China, and you saw all the amazing things that happened. And that is all very positive for the market and the world. Very bullish. I had a video on it. And in events like that, sometimes the market goes up. Everyone is excited. Everyone is bullish. And when the event happens and wraps up, everything drops. Why? No reason. Sell the news, right? It just means the market has priced it all in, and then boom, there is this after party contemplation. What are we even doing? So sell the news is often for no reason. It is just the basic dynamics. So that might be the reason why the Nasdaq is down today, 1.26%. It is hard to explain why Tesla is performing so much worse. It's of course not great for Pioneer Alpha today because I was very exposed. I am still very exposed, and I will get to this in a second. I made absolutely mega alpha over the last month. Unbelievable alpha because I predicted we are going back straight to 400, and then we are going back straight to maybe not straight, but very quickly to 490 is what I said, and I'm positioning myself accordingly. And that means I made an enormous killing with Pioneer Alpha. I can show you the latest here, not the latest, but from last week, we were up 166% over 2 years and 5 months, but we are up year to date 36% with an alpha of 41% over Tesla, which is pretty impressive. So we outperformed Tesla stock, which is still down 4.75% for the year. We outperformed 41% just this year with 36% return, and Tesla at negative 4.75. The reason for that outperformance was that I predicted this pretty well. I predicted the downfall in Q1, so I positioned myself more cautiously and then flipped into mega bullish when we dropped to 360, and that paid off perfectly. I also made a killing this week, absolute alpha, until today, and today was a very bad day. So I think we will probably finish up the week when we are doing the alpha analysis over the weekend, probably alpha neutral. I can't tell because I performed extremely well until today and today extremely badly. But let's see how it comes out, maybe slightly positive or something. More important, we have to now determine what is going on right now. Did the Pioneer Alpha thesis break that we are going to 490, or is it still intact? This is a very decisive question for me and for every one of you, all of you who are investors in Pioneer Alpha, or for you who just follow it. This is a very important question that we have to answer, and very different from many, many other people or from everyone on social media who's just talking about trading. I am not one of these people. I actually invest and trade, and I share my thoughts with you, which means I can never afford coping, pushing narratives, taking sides. Why can I not afford that? Because it costs me tremendous amounts of money if I do that. I only have one job, and that is to be right. That doesn't mean I'm always right, but it means everything in my little brain is focused on being right. There is no space for anything else. Not when we talk about the merger, not when we talk about these questions. When I say we are going straight to 490 or quickly to 490, and I realize something is wrong, I need to take it back. But if I think nothing is wrong, I will stick to my thesis. If I think I was overly confident but right, I stick to my thesis but decrease my level of confidence. If I think the thesis is still intact, but there's an important tweak we have to make, I will do that. So it's very important to understand that I will never cope, I will never apologize or defend anything. I don't care about any of these things. I only care about winning, because not winning costs me money. I do not like to lose money. So, by the way, today, all the stuff I had to realize, because options expiration is all extremely positive, because it was still from last week, the run-up. The 420 puts, 430 puts are all looking actually good. The 430s are still making me good money because I sold them for 10, and I'm cashing, or I'm cashing them in probably when we wrap up here. So this is all good, but the ones that I put on this week for next week, they look very bad. I need this thing to go back to 440. Not really to 440. I need this thing to go back to 435, or I start losing money on some. I need this thing to go back to 430, or I lose money on most. Not a lot of money, but some. If this thing drops to 410, I'm not looking good next week. So this week was fine. I'm probably coming out even or slightly alpha positive. But if I would believe my thesis is broken and we are going back to 400, I would need to take different actions than the actions that I'm taking. Let me explain why. First of all, if you look at this greater movement here, the reason I'm saying 490 is because on December 16th last year, we hit this peak. We hit actually all-time highs, 490 effectively. And Tesla was a much weaker company than now. That's my first argument. So now we have CyberCap launched. We are actually starting all these things, even if they're delayed. But we are now in the ramp of CyberCap. So that happened. The sales rebound is pretty significant. We see that Tesla is actually killing it and getting very strong globally on the EV side. We see Terafab, we see all kinds of crazy things. And then there's SpaceX merger, of course, coming up. That is probably a positive catalyst, at least tactically short-term for the stock. So all my base thesis that we are going back to 490 is still completely intact if the market doesn't tank. Now you could say, oh, but Joe, the market is tanking. Are you kidding me? This is not tanking. Look at what the market did. This is completely ridiculous. The market is up 9.44% in a month. The market. So we are on an absolute tear, on an absolute bull run, and a retracement of 1.3%. Are you kidding me? This is a complete joke today. So this is more than normal. And I'm not saying this to defend anything. I would absolutely change my mind instantaneously, and I might change my mind next week if anything further deviates from here. But for now, this is absolutely in the green. It's absolutely in the green in the normal channels of what should happen in a bull run. A little bit of a pullback. For Tesla, it's more than a little bit. But here's another thing with Tesla. Look at, let's go to beta, Google beta. They have this new thing here. But because it's Google, they suck at everything. And they can't even show me the NASDAQ in this beta preview. So the beta view is great, but has no NASDAQ. So I have to switch up here. But when you look at volume today, volume is 40 million. Okay. Average is, where's the average? Here, 65 million. In other words, today is a relatively low volume day. What is this? It's a relatively low volume day. And as a general basic principle in trading and with stocks, if you have a low volume day, the signal is weak, right? If you fall at low volume, probably doesn't mean much. People just didn't show up. They were bored. They were in the long weekend, whatever. If you go up on a bull run and it's on low volume, be cautious. It might be a bull trap. It doesn't mean much. So if we would have a strong volume down day, I would be a little bit more concerned. I think this just means people didn't show up. They're bored or whatever. In addition, people say, oh, China is negative because we didn't get any great news. Well, I told everyone the only great news out of China is that Nvidia and Jensen Huang came with them. They had this announcement that they're allowed to sell more. Nvidia went up. I told everyone, what news do you expect for Tesla? The important thing is that he showed up. The important thing is that we are preparing better supply chain for Optimus, lower tariffs. But of course, there wouldn't be announcements on something like that. That is way too vague, the whole thing. So I didn't expect anything. Well, did I expect we go down that much? No. So in principle, I'm holding relatively firm. I'm de-risking a little bit because I have very high exposure. I'm de-risking a little bit. But generally, my gut feeling here is normal retracement of the market, overreaction by Tesla, but on low volume, not much meaning here. Tesla had a huge run-up, right, since April 9th, an enormous run-up of like whatever that is, 20%. And so completely normal that we take a little breather. Look at this, 1 month, we are still up nearly 8% in 1 month and 4 weeks. So do I think this is normal? Yes. Look at this here. April 9th, you run up to 400, and then you drop a little bit back, right? You run up to 400, you drop back to 380, and then you continue the run up. I think we have more room to run to 490. I say it again. I think that little drawback is still completely in the realm of normal. If the market holds up, I think Tesla will have a very hard time dropping much more from here. We would need the market to shake and crash a little bit to really go down more. And then, of course, we have to reassess the situation. But when I look at the market, so this is a market question, it's not a Tesla question. Tesla is just, unmotivated today, low volume, crashes a little bit more than it should. This will be a question of the NASDAQ holding up going forward, going into next week. Not of Tesla. I think if the NASDAQ holds up, Tesla goes back to 450. I will get to this in a second. And then probably continues to 490. The NASDAQ itself looks very stable to me. The story is intact, completely normal to take a breather. So I'm not concerned on the market side. Look at this. This is like perfect. We're on a perfect bull run. Now, of course, it can change anytime, but I do not see the signal anywhere here that we are actually changing. So The risk is not Tesla, the risk is the market, and the market has a low risk in my opinion. And now Tesla overdid it, which is, in my opinion, a sign that we will continue our little bull run. Now, if we take now a tactical view for the traders among us, we clearly saw that 445, we are going towards 450 and got rejected pretty hard. So it seems like there is some kind of resistance here that we have to break. We have to probably form some base here between 420, I guess, and 450, 445. Maybe we are building a little bit of a channel and collecting our breath after this crazy run up before we move higher, while we hope the market is holding up while we're doing all these things. That is my current thesis. Okay, I have these current theses, the most likely outcomes over the next weeks to actually put my positions on. So that means I'm maybe doing a little bit of de-risking. I'm still making up my mind if I should do it or not, because I'm a little, my exposure is pretty high right now. So if we fall to 410, that would not be good for me next week. So do I want to de-risk a little bit, be a little less greedy, even though my conviction that we just go straight back to 440 or something like that next week is extremely high? Do I want to avoid the tail risk? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I take 10% off the table. I make my mind up in a few minutes once we hang up here before the market closes. But I don't think it's very likely to be a mistake if I do that. So that is my take. Just very tactical talk today. This is not a strategy session. This is a complete tactics session. We had enough strategy this week. I explained China. I explained what I think about SpaceX and Tesla. We have much more in-depth research coming on that. But sometimes it's time for tactics. So on the tactics level, I think we are in a channel 420. We are at the bottom of the channel. Of course, everything can change any minute. But for now, most likely outcome, this is the channel and we are going back to 440. That's what I'm betting on. If we fall below 420, I will pull the plug on a bunch of my positions, all short puts, most of them now in the money. So a little high leverage here. And we go from here. But I think I will be fine. So, by the way, last comment before we go into your comments. How I saved myself 2% today. I got 2% less loss of the portfolio. When we dropped very hard, I had all my short puts on. Instead of taking the short puts off the table, which costs premium and all kinds of stuff, in these tactical drop situations, I often decide to do super short-term short calls against the puts, inside in the money puts, right? So I sold a very massive amount of 430 calls expiring today because my reasoning was, well, this looks kind of bad. If we end below that, I just get a lot of money for free. Of course, much less money than I lost on paper today. But a 2% of portfolio compensation, and that's exactly what happened. And if I'm wrong, sure, I lose a little bit money. If we would have ended at 440 or 436, 435, I would have lost a little bit. I would have lost 1%, but I would have made so much money back instead of losing it, on paper at least, that it's worth it. So sometimes these high premium, very short expiration calls, when you're loaded up with short puts, going a little short calls just for fun for the scenario can be very good. So I offset 2% losses today. Still, I'm pretty much down, but that happens. And in the grand theme of things of this week, and especially last week, it's all looking very good. But critical situation. So my thesis stands, but of course I have to watch this like a hawk on Monday, what happens because the exposure is high. So let's go to the comments and see what you guys are up to on this bloody Friday. Let's go all the way up here and see how is it crash when it's still up over 1 week. It's a crash today. It feels like a crash if you have high exposure. Feels like BTC. Yeah, BTC is down too. The whole crypto, everything is down today. Reasonable retracement after attempt to break higher above 450. I agree. I think a much better explanation for the Nasdaq being down is simply the rise in yield rates, When bond yields go up, risk assets are less attractive. That is correct. But we have to ask ourselves, why are they higher? Next time it touches 450, it breaks through to 500 quick. I'm not sure, Cryptopractor. I think we could get rejected again and trade in this channel for a couple of weeks or something before we then go to all-time highs. But, you know, of course, if we break through, I agree, if we break through, not if it touches it. If we break through, we are going probably higher quickly. Robotaxi rollout is low. Investors are waiting for sudden mass deployment. That is correct, Crosby. But I think this is not a Tesla story, it's a market story. New Kurosawa. This is just a slingshot move. We will continue to head up into June. I think so too. That is what I think. Joe, show your option positions. Oh, that's lots of positions right now. It's ridiculous. Trump is effing us. Wait, what is that? Wait, I lost the so many comments. Here, my geek show. Trump is effing us. Can you imagine what Tesla would be if it weren't for that person? Maybe. Tuscan Tony. I'm totally relaxed, up 15% over the last month. Exactly. Andrew says, so fed up with this fan. Now comes like a boom, boom, boom. Andrew says, fanboys propaganda. Well, I just explained that this is the opposite of propaganda. I'm telling you exactly what I think. And I never do propaganda because then I lose money. Stock dropped because they failed to get FSD approval for China today. No, that is not the case. I think maybe we got some disappointment that they weren't big news. Tuscan Tony, it's a high alpha stock, high beta stop. High beta stock. Oh, now we are at 424. Yeah, it's all going to be fine, I guess. Leonardo, I made it. Leonardo made it to the show. Very good. Joe, I love your videos. Thanks for putting out consistently great content. How's the weather where you are? It's beautiful. Thank you. I'm in a beautiful place with beautiful weather. A little chilly, but beautiful sunshine. Leonardo, Tesla is still doing very well. I wouldn't mind if it goes down back to 400. I would mind. I would not like that right now. I like it a little smooth, but whatever. We have to deal with whatever happens and make the best of it. I think the volume improved a lot. You mean the stock volume or my audio volume? Kishar, I sold 460 strike calls due Monday earlier when I realized we would get stuck not breaking materially above 450. Well, risky move, but that paid off. Joke 1234 says, I never thought I would, damn it, I always lose this. I never thought I would sitting on my hands, wait shit out. It's like Lord of Flies shit. People jump in stocks, jump out of the stocks. True, don't do that. Nothing crashed, stop making topics. I don't understand that. Here, Shinka TV, technical analysis, just bounced off for 452.34, then broke through the 442.26. If we close below 442, TE would predict down to 387. I don't think so. I disagree. But yeah, technical analysis. I made 2,500 this week from trading calls. That is great. Is the market down because the Trump-hating news declared the China trip a failure? I didn't even read that. I don't read or watch Trump-hating news. I just use X and for my own opinion, and CNBC. I don't think there's a big disappointment, but maybe people expected more announcements, which is unlikely. I think the big news here is that Trump invited Xi Jinping to the White House in September. That's very good news. They worked on Iran. They are cautious. These people were in a trade war. Now they met. It was huge. It was very positive gestures. He invited him to DC. It was extremely friendly. This is the biggest deal ever. You can't just announce random stuff here. You need to work on these things. So the good news is that everyone is working on making things happen. I think it's very positive. And I didn't expect anything. Nvidia was a surprise, and Nvidia went up like crazy on it. You know that they're allowed to sell, I think I forgot which ones, H200s. People are making a ton of money off Tesla. Look at the last 2 weeks, gone up then people take profits, goes up, then people take profits, and it's gonna rinse and repeat. Yes. Keisha, I love these live sessions, Joe. Thank you so much. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm never sure if live sessions are better than recorded sessions. Of course, I feel more in control with recorded sessions. I feel like the content quality is a little higher if we edit and do it. But at the same time, live sessions are more lively. They're more timely. So I'm doing a little bit more of them. You guys let me know what you think. Elon came home with no deal. Sure, but I never expected him to come home with any deal. What kind of deal? I don't even know what deal. FSD approval? I mean, guys, Elon is very important. We all love Elon. But if you're Xi Jinping and you're saying hello to Elon and Larry Fink and Tim Apple and Jensen Huang, but also, by the way, the president of the United States, you also have other things on your mind, like the survival of your civilization, Taiwan, Iran, nuclear weapons, the United States. So it's not just all FSD. So we have to put that a little bit into perspective. Just saying, think about Xi Jinping. Mark Labadie says, what about the Tom Lee narrative that the new Fed must be tested? I think that's dumb. I hate to say it, sometimes Tom Lee is a little off. I love his whole thing, how he talks. He comes across very smart, and I love him. But sometimes he says dumb stuff like, what? You really think that the market tests the new Fed chair that determines the market? Of course, that might be a tiny little component, but it's not something that defines the markets. Could TSLL hit 100? It ran up around 50 one day for a short time. Well, TSLL is just, 2x Tesla intraday. So that's what's going to do. Gregory Mugen says, my audio volume improved, not the Tesla stock volume. Okay, that's good to know. Volt Dweller, Elon screwing Tesla investors with the SpaceX IPO. Well, that's the big debate on X between Tesla, Boomer Mama, and Rebellionaire. And I chipped in, watched my video on it. I provided the first quantitative framework to actually provide everyone with an idea how you can think around that. I disagree, of course, that Tesla investors are getting screwed. I think that is not true. Let's just check the stock. A little bump in the end would be very nice if we end at like 427 or something. I would prefer that. But that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Love it live? Yes. That's good to know. Life is fun, because I can respond to your questions. By the way, talking about questions, we had another live investor session. So if you're an investor in Pioneer Alpha or are interested in that and you're a qualified investor, you have to go through pioneeralpha.org. Just be aware that we have this new feature in your dashboard. If you are an investor, you can go here, go to your dashboard, and then you see these meetings here, but that's only for qualified investors. You can go to the website and see everything. If you are in here, you know that. And we have these investor meetings to talk through all your questions about the bonds. Just as a side note here, you just click on these. I love our new system, RSVP. Here are the meetings. You see when they are, you see your time zone, and you can just join. And we have actually a Google Hangout. But that should be focused on the bonds, of course. I'm there in an official role as a Pioneer Reserve Managing Director. So just as a side note, don't forget about that if you are an investor or have questions about the bonds. Remember that Tesla is still bullish? Wait. This is the worst scrolling problem here with my chat. Joe, what's your 2030 base case price target for Tesla? Well, I can give it away, even though that's a secret. I shifted my 6,000 price target a little back to be a little bit more conservative. I see $4,000 as my price target for the base case. I became a little more, cautious with the timing on Robotaxi and Optimus, pushed it a little out. This is a conservative discounted cash flow model. On the valuation, it's conservative. On the revenue expectations and margins on cash flows, it's base case, it's not conservative. Glad you're not sugarcoating it. Yes. You have to always understand, like, I am not a normal YouTuber. I'm just sharing my thoughts and I'm talking mostly to myself. And my main concern is to not lose money. So that's why I'm trying to be right. And it's very important, all these social media things, when you're going X, of course, you know how social media works. It's like designed to provoke you into being dumb. They say, oh, Joe, now you're coping. You're a Tesla fanboy. Or then the fanboys call me a traitor if I say something against Elon or whatever. Same with Trump, right? If I'm pro-Trump, I'm actually not getting that attacked when I'm pro-Trump. But I'm like critical of Trump, like in Iran, everyone's like, oh, you're a traitor. So it's very important. If you do that, if you ever start a YouTube channel or X and do trading, you have to let it all bounce off you. If someone says I'm a traitor to Trump, I don't care. If someone says I'm a Trump fanboy, I don't care. If someone says I'm selling, I'm defrauding the investor base of Tesla by forcing them into a merger, I don't care. If someone says I'm too critical of the merger, I also don't care. I can't care because I want to be right. Because if I'm right, I make money. If I'm wrong, I lose money. Mr. JM, how can I stop this from jumping around this chat? Always lose what I... My comment for last few weeks was summit would be bad, Putin next week and BRICS consolidate. What's Putin next week? I don't even know what Putin next week. I have to look into that. Tesla will fall to support and wait for positive news. Let's see about that. We definitely bounced off the 450. There's no doubt about that. So right now we are like in a tricky situation. Why Robotaxi page don't do any update? I don't know what's happening there. Maybe it's stuck. Is the oil disruption gonna last till the end of the year? If so, will Tesla car and semi sales increase? What about the entire market? I think the oil shock is here, and the oil shock is super positive for EV sales, and that benefits Tesla tremendously. I think that's just a given. At the same time, I think the Strait of Hormuz will be resolved, because we have to understand, as I said before, neither Iran nor Trump can just do whatever they want. They have massive pressure on them. Iran has pressure from China. Trump has pressure from Europe, from inside the United States, from all over the place in America, and from other allies. So they need to resolve that issue. It's absolutely not acceptable for the world economy that this strait is closed. So neither the US nor Iran can keep blocking this thing because they will lose all support. And both need support. The United States government needs support from inside America and from Europe, and Iran urgently needs support from China. So they can't keep that up. And you know the whole story that the reserves are depleted. And I think why China, for example, released much more reserves into the market than would make sense if they would be concerned about security of their oil is because they know, I'm pretty sure China can effectively order Iran to not block the strait anymore. So that's why they're relaxed, in my opinion. What is this? Scrolling. Elon screwing Tesla investors with SpaceX IPO. I'm not sure. SpaceX IPO on 12th of June. I heard that too. I'm not sure if that's final, but yeah, it's probably going to happen. Remember that Tesla is still bullish. Its one-day chart is well above the 21-day moving average. I agree. It is totally bullish, this whole thing still. We would need to see something worse than today to break that. Trump-US negotiations are likely ongoing. Yes. I think this is not like, this is a very big deal. It's a restructuring of the world, what we are seeing. There's not going to be one visit and it's all solved. So I totally agree that this is the case. I agree. Meltzer says, unfortunately, I bought yesterday at 447. I think these are like details in the grand scheme of things. If you're just buying stocks, if you're doing aggressive options trades, it can hurt you a little bit more. Mark Cave says, I'm watching all your recorded content and take it as a treat to catch the live stream when I can. You always give a great insight and perspective. Thank you. That's so nice to hear from you, Mark Cave, 1901. That's very nice to hear. Thank you. So basically, Crosby asks, you see Tesla 10x in 4 years. I think 5x is more realistic. Well, it depends how things are going. I think it can 10x in 4 years if you see millions of robotaxis and 1 million humanoids in 2030. So the question is, can that happen? That is always the big question. I think it can. Yields up, inflation up, CPI up, energy up, food up, consumer confidence down, Donald Trump. So, I mean, all these things are the same thing, kind of, right? The CPI, you saw it's coming in at whatever, some crazy number, 4%, 6%. No one cares because clearly that is from a shock. This is from a tactical shock that doesn't count, in my opinion. So that's why everyone is discounting it. It's not real inflation here, it's just oil, which of course hurts everyone, but it's not a sustained inflation. You also have to understand, like, inflation means everything becomes more expensive because more money is being printed. Whereas a supply shock, I mean, I never understand why people conflate these two things. Of course, inflation is being measured as a CPI. If prices go up, people think we have inflation. That's not how it works. We have to understand why prices are up. If prices are up because the amount of money, okay, is going up, the prices will never come down again. Then you get inflation of 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%, and then it keeps there, and then it goes up slowly, 2%. If you have a shock, a supply chain shock, it's followed by deflation. Because oil goes to 150, okay, and it doesn't stay at 150 forever. That would be normal inflation. Normal inflation would be oil going to 150, next year 160, the year after 170, then 180, then we would have normal inflation. But that's not happening. Oil is going up to 100 or 120 or 130 and then falling back to 50 because it's supply constrained, supply shock, not inflation. Why is Joe so bad in investing? That is a very good question. My alpha disagrees with you. Questions about taxes when trading short puts. If my short put expires in the money, then I sell bought stocks after a few months. Taxes, stock sale price. It's very simple. It's very simple. Expired in the money, then I sell bought stocks after a few months. You have to just think about, okay, you just have to sum up how much money did you put into the trade, how much money did you get out of the trade. That's all you have to do. I know it sounds complicated, but in the end, that's all it is. Like, how much money did you actually put in? How much gain do you have or loss? And then sum it all up, net it out for taxes, and assuming they're all short term. Elon needs to publicize positives, achievements, and positive from China. He needs to much better PR group to oversaturate the upside news. Well, you can debate that. You can also argue it doesn't matter because long term the stock market is a scale and not a not a popularity contest. And so it doesn't matter. I think that's Elon's approach. Back for T-Bull says if we close below 428, we should move lower over the next couple of weeks. Maybe. AGI is far, far away. LLMs are useful tools. I would disagree. I think we are crossing as we speak the Rubicon into economic AGI, where AGI replaces workers at scale. I think we are right now crossing that Rubicon as we speak. Within 3 months, it's done for most jobs, capability-wise, and then it's just a rollout problem. Are you at all concerned about robotaxi rollout stalling? Not really. I don't see it stalling. I see the opposite. They're printing all these cyber cabs and they're doing pretty well. Does the US national debt worry you? Peter Schiff says the US could reach a lending ceiling where the US inflation is far higher than the interest rate. Yes, but not now. I think this is a giant problem, but not right now. I took my first robotaxi ride in Bay Area. Wait times are awful, but the ride experience was amazing. Way cheaper than Uber and no trip required. Can't wait till the rollout can fix the wait times. They will be cautious and it will be step by step, but I think we're getting very close to it. Okay, guys, I have to wrap it up, but that was fun having you on board. Be cautious out there. You never know what happens. Tesla closing this day very badly. But I'm not super duper concerned. I'm a little concerned. Let's see what happens. I think bouncing back is more likely than not. And we will see next week. So take care and see you very soon. Thanks for tuning in.